Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at calcium. It's really fundamental for our health, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we've been digging into guidance from the Royal Osteoporosis Society specifically.
Right. They offer some, well, really useful insights.
They do. Things like, are we getting enough? Do we need supplements? Is there a risk of getting too much?
Exactly. Those are the big questions, I think. Lots of you are probably wondering about your own levels and if supplements are, well, safe or even necessary. So our goal in this deep dive, using the Royal Osteoporosis Society's info, is to kind of clarify that for you, make it understandable.
Without getting too technical.
Yeah. Let's start with the basics then. Why do we actually need calcium?
Well, its main job, and the Royal Osteoporosis Society really emphasizes this, is building and keeping our bones and teeth strong.
Strong how? Like, what does it actually do?
It provides strength and structure. Get this, 99% of the body's calcium is found right there in bones and teeth.
99%.
Yeah, it adds up to about a kilogram of calcium.
A whole kilogram. That really puts it in perspective. It's like the scaffolding.
Sort of, yeah. And it doesn't work in isolation. The Royal Osteoporosis Society mentions phosphorus, too.
Ah, okay. So they team up.
Exactly. They work together for bone density. Super important when you're growing, obviously, but also later in life.
Especially for preventing things like osteoporosis, I imagine.
Precisely. Particularly for women after menopause. That density is crucial.
Okay, so bones and teeth, that's clear. But you mentioned it does other things.
Oh, definitely. The Royal Osteoporosis Society points out it's also vital for muscles working properly, nerve signals.
Nerve signals?
Yeah, how nerves talk to each other.
Yeah.
And blood clotting, even releasing hormones and enzymes. It's involved in a surprising amount.
It really sounds like a key player. So, okay, what happens if you fall short? You don't get enough from what you eat.
Well, your body's clever, but maybe not in a good way here. The Royal Osteoporosis Society explains that if your intake is low, your body will actually take calcium from your bones.
Oh, right, to keep those other functions going.
Exactly, to maintain levels needed for muscles, nerves, all that. But over time,
your bones get weaker, like dipping into your savings account too often.
That's a great analogy. Your bones are the calcium bank. Constant withdrawals without enough deposits, and yeah, they get depleted.
Makes sense. So who should be particularly mindful of this? Does the Royal Osteoporosis Society highlight any groups at higher risk?
They do mention people making sort of sudden big changes in their diet.
Like going vegan abruptly, maybe?
Could be. Or anyone who can't or doesn't eat high calcium dairy products, they need to pay a bit more attention.
Okay. But the good news, hopefully, is that you can get enough through food generally.
Yes, absolutely. The Royal Osteoporosis Society stresses that a balanced diet is usually the best way, and they point out there were more options now, too.
Like fortified foods.
Exactly. Fortified dairy-free milks, calcium-set tofu, things like that. They can be really good sources. They even suggest looking at their guide on calcium-rich foods.
Good tip. So it's about knowing your sources. Now, say someone is worried. Is there like a simple blood test or something to check dietary calcium?
Interestingly, no. The Royal Osteoporosis Society says there isn't a straightforward test for just your dietary intake. Blood calcium levels are kept stable, remember, even if it means taking it from bones.
Ah, okay, so the blood test doesn't tell the whole story about your diet.
Not directly about your intake, no. Their advice is pretty clear. Focus on a balanced diet. If you're genuinely worried, talk to your doctor.
Right. Professional advice is key. Which brings us nicely to supplements. When might they actually be needed, according to the Royal Osteoporosis Society?
Again, the first step they recommend is that conversation with your doctor or GP.
Especially if you have other health issues.
Definitely. Some medical conditions need really tailored advice on whether you need supplements and how much. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Okay. And if a doctor does say, yes, you need a supplement, how do they figure out the dose?
Well, the Royal Osteoporosis Society suggests they'll likely estimate your dietary intake first. Figure out roughly what you're getting from food.
And then top it up?
Kinda, yeah. Calculate how much extra might be needed. Often, they say, it might be 1 or 2 tablets a day to bridge that gap.
And you need to look closely at the label, right? Something about available calcium.
That's a really important point they make. The number on the front of the box isn't always the amount your body can actually absorb and use.
So where do you find the real number?
Usually in the leaflet inside the packaging. It'll specify the elemental or available calcium, and they strongly warn, always stick to the doctor's recommended dose.
Because too much can cause problems.
Exactly. Taking too much can be harmful.
Okay, let's talk about those risks. What does the Royal Osteoporosis Society say about excessive calcium intake?
Well, typical prescriptions might be between, say, 300 milligrams and 1,000 milligrams daily, but they warn against consistently taking more than 1,500 milligrams a day from supplements.
And the side effects?
Things like stomach pain, diarrhea, and perhaps more seriously, an increased risk of developing kidney stones.
Ouch. Kidney stones sound awful. Anything else?
Yes. They also note that very high calcium intake might actually interfere with absorbing other important minerals.
Like what?
Iron and magnesium are mentioned. So it throws other things out of balance potentially.
Right. And some people just shouldn't take supplements at all because of existing conditions.
Yes. Certain medical conditions cause high blood calcium already, and in those cases, supplements are a definite no-no, according to the Royal Osteoporosis Society.
It really is about balance then. Now, a slightly controversial topic sometimes, the link or suggested link between calcium supplements and heart attacks. What's the Royal Osteoporosis Society's take on that?
They do address it. They acknowledge there have been reports and some studies suggesting a possible connection.
But
their assessment is that the current evidence just isn't strong enough to definitively prove an increased risk.
So it's not clear-cut. I remember hearing about conflicting studies.
That's precisely it. The Royal Osteoporosis Society mentions this. Some studies hinted at a small increased risk, maybe with high doses or when taken with vitamin D, but others found no increased risk at all.
So the jury's still out, scientifically speaking.
Pretty much. They referenced the UK regulatory body, the MHRA, which concluded doctors should still make sure people get enough calcium, especially those on osteoporosis meds.
So prescribing supplements is still considered necessary sometimes?
Yes, when clinically needed. The Royal Osteoporosis Society's advice is, if you're prescribed them and you're concerned, have that conversation with your doctor. Don't just stop taking them.
Okay. And importantly, they distinguish between supplements and food, right?
Yes, that's a key takeaway they highlight. High calcium intake from your diet doesn't seem to carry that same potential heart risk concern.
So food first whenever possible.
That's the consistent message. A balanced diet is the primary goal.
Good. Okay, just before we wrap up, the Royal Osteoporosis Society also touches on the specific problems if your body's calcium levels actually get too low or too high. Not just dietary intake, but the levels in your blood.
Right. So low calcium in the blood, which is called hypocalcemia.
Symptoms for that.
They list things like muscle cramps, maybe numbness or tingling, brittle nails. And long term, it increases risks for osteopenia, osteoporosis, and even dental issues.
And on the flip side, too high. Hypercalcemia.
Yeah, symptoms there can be quite different. Muscle weakness, feeling nauseous, needing to urinate more often.
And the risks?
Potential for kidney stones, again, bone pain, and possibly even heart rhythm problems in severe cases.
And they mentioned women being particularly affected.
Yes, they note that women, especially postmenopause, might be at higher risk for complications from both low and high levels, partly due to hormonal shifts affecting calcium regulation.
That's really important context. Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. What's the core message from the Royal Osteoporosis Society on calcium?
I think the main takeaway is really aim to get enough calcium through a balanced, varied diet, first and foremost. That's the ideal.
And if you're worried or think you need more,
then it's crucial to talk to your doctor or another healthcare professional. They can assess your specific situation and advise if supplements are needed, and importantly, at what dose. Avoid self-prescribing high doses.
Excellent summary. And all this insight comes directly from the Royal Osteoporosis Society, hopefully helping you feel more informed about managing your calcium. If you found this deep dive useful, please do consider sharing it with family or friends who might benefit.
Yeah, spread the word.
And we always welcome your input. Please leave a comment below or ask any questions you might have about your health concerns. Our naturopathic scientific and health advisor, Marino Micheloni, MD, will do his best to respond.